December 16th, 1944. Snow falls silently over a forest in Belgium. Inside a foxhole, an American soldier presses himself against frozen earth, listening. For weeks, his commanders told him this sector was quiet, safe, a place to rest. He believed them. In the next few hours, that belief will nearly cost him everything. Somewhere out in the fog, more than 400,000 enemy soldiers are moving toward him, and neither he nor anyone above him has any idea they're coming. Within 6 days, this forest will become the deadliest ground American troops fight on in the entire war. But right now, in the dark, he doesn't know any of that yet. He just knows something feels wrong. By the winter of 1944, most of the free world believed the war in Europe was nearly over. Paris had been liberated months earlier. American and British forces were pushing steadily toward Germany's border. Soldiers wrote letters home promising they'd be back for the holidays. The Ardennes, a rugged, heavily forested stretch of Belgium and Luxembourg, was considered the safest place on the entire front. Exhausted divisions were sent there to rest. Fresh, untested recruits were sent there to get their first taste of the war, without much risk. Nobody told them that Adolf Hitler had spent the previous months planning something almost impossible to believe. In near total secrecy, German forces had gathered an enormous army directly across from this quiet sector, moving only under cover of darkness, maintaining strict radio silence, hiding tanks and artillery beneath the forest canopy from Allied reconnaissance planes. Nearly 1,500 tanks, thousands of artillery pieces, an entire army group assembled in plain sight of American lines, and no one saw it coming. At 5:30 in the morning, the silence broke. Artillery shells tore through the trees. Searchlights bounced off low clouds to illuminate the battlefield for advancing German troops. Then came the tanks. Massive, heavily armored Tiger IIs, grinding directly toward the thinnest, most inexperienced stretch of the entire American line. Radio lines went dead. Entire companies lost contact with headquarters within hours. Some units simply disappeared into the fog and the trees, and no one back at command would know what happened to them for days. What was actually happening out there? And how far could this attack go? As the German advance tore forward, a small Belgian town became the center of everything. Whoever controlled its crossroads controlled the roads that German tanks needed to reach their real target, the port of Antwerp, and with it, a chance to split the American and British armies apart entirely. American paratroopers rushed into that town with almost nothing. No winter coats, no reserve ammunition, no reinforcements coming. Within days, German forces had completely encircled them. Temperatures fell below zero. Men wrapped their boots in whatever fabric they could find to keep their feet from freezing solid. Some lost toes. Some didn't survive the cold at all, let alone the fighting. They were alone, frozen, and surrounded, with the entire German army pressing in from every direction. And then, on December 22nd, a message arrived from the German commanders outside the town. A formal demand. Some lost toes. Some didn't survive the cold at all, let alone the fighting. They were alone, frozen, and surrounded, with the entire German army pressing in from every direction. And then, on December 22nd, a message arrived from the German commanders outside the town. A formal demand. They had to ask for it to be explained to them. But the Americans inside that town understood perfectly. They weren't leaving, not without a fight to the very last man. What none of them knew, soldiers or commanders, was that hundreds of miles away, another American general had just turned an entire armored division 90 degrees in the middle of winter and was racing toward them faster than almost anyone believed possible. For days, the sky refused to cooperate. Thick gray clouds meant no Allied planes could fly. No supply drops, no air support, nothing. Inside the town, ammunition dropped to single-digit rounds per soldier in some positions. Men began writing letters home they weren't sure would ever be read. German tanks probed the perimeter again and again, testing for the moment it would finally break. Then, on December 23rd, something shifted. The clouds thinned, then parted. Allied cargo planes appeared overhead for the first time in days, dropping ammunition, food, and medical supplies directly into the besieged town. Fighter planes followed close behind, striking German armor that had been closing in unchallenged. Then, on December 26th, the armored column that had been racing through the winter finally broke through German lines and reached the town. The siege was over. The line had held. The Battle of the Bulge lasted 6 brutal weeks in total. It remains the largest, deadliest single battle American forces fought in the entire Second World War. Over 19,000 Americans killed, and tens of thousands more wounded or taken prisoner. But it also became one of the clearest examples of American resolve under conditions almost no one could imagine surviving. Somewhere right now, a family still keeps a photograph of a young soldier who was there, in that forest, in that town, in that impossible cold, never fully knowing what those 6 days actually cost him. If your own family has a connection to the Ardennes or to that winter of 1944, we'd love to hear it in the comments below.